All right.
Oh my gosh,
We are doing
shh.
addressing the other class here.
What's up, other class?
They cannot be quiet.
Suck your mom.
Bless their bones. They
How you
cannot do
doing?
it. We're doing the Great Depression, daily life in the city. There will also be, I think, a video that I will attach to it, to the handout, okay? And you'll have 10 questions. All right. Life in the big city was very difficult for many people during the Great Depression. Food was scarce. Jobs were difficult to come by. Once a person lost their job, they were often evicted from their home or apartment. That means that basically the law had to remove them because they couldn't either pay the mortgage or the rent. They either went to live with a relative or they ended up living in a shack in one of the makeshift cities that were called Hoovervilles. Okay? And we're talking cardboard shacks, tarps put over, made into a tent, things like that. We're not talking luxury accommodations here by any stretch of the imagination. Okay?
But what if they all combined their own, like,
They didn't have anything to combine. I mean, well, you
They were fighting
wanted
whenever they drove
privacy.
down the
You
street.
didn't want. You got to understand, most of these families would have 3 to 4 kids, sometimes more. Well, they're not going to pick them together and build one big cardboard house. I mean, they could, but they're probably not going to. They like little privacy. People in the city often had little to eat. Unlike farmers, they didn't have crops, chickens, or a vegetable garden where they could grow their own food. Now remember, the Midwest, they was having trouble growing stuff, but down south, places like that, they were still growing food for their family. Okay. Once the money ran out, they had nothing to eat. They tried various ways to make the little food they had last longer. This included new recipes. Okay, some of this is kind of sad. Actually, it's all sad, but they had what they was referred to as depression cake. This is cake that was made. Cake was made. You don't have a clue how hard it was here. Okay, we can joke about it, but we really don't. We can't comprehend what these people were going through. Because none of us have missed a meal lately. Okay, seriously. Okay. So a depression cake was a cake made without the hard to get ingredients like butter and eggs. I don't know if you ever made a cake, but those are kind of major ingredients when you're making a cake. Mock apple pie, okay, where they substituted crackers for apple. So basically it was a cracker pie.
That's sad.
Okay, that's not, yeah. I don't know about you, but when I sit down to eat an apple pie, I kind of like for it to have apple involved somewhere.
I like pumpkin pie.
I like pumpkin pie too. Soup kitchen. In order to keep people from starving, yes?
I'm sorry, but can I please use the bathroom?
No.
Okay.
No, we just came in from a 20-minute break. In order to keep people from starving, many charities and eventually the government opened up soup kitchens where people could get a free meal. Sometimes people would wait in line for hours to get a bowl of watery soup.
Wow.
And maybe some bread. Soup was very popular because, if we talked about this the other day, as they started to run out, they could just add more water to it. So basically what they were getting was flavored water in the disguise of soup. Okay? Buying new clothes, they probably didn't, but it gave you a sense of being full for a short period of time. Okay, but it wasn't your health. I'm sure their health probably suffered. They were not getting very much nutrition, nutrients, things of that they needed. Okay, buying new clothes is not an option for many people during the Great Depression. People wore hand-me-downs from relatives or sewed their own clothes. Many women learned how to knit so they could make socks or sweaters. Poor people would use cardboard to patch up their shoes. Like if you got a hole in your shoe, you couldn't afford just to throw them away and go buy a new pair. You couldn't take it to a shoe store and have it resoled. They would actually take cardboard and on the inside put it in there to try to help give you some support. You're not just But imagine anytime it was wet or anything, cardboard gets wet, so it doesn't. It wasn't a great solution.
Imagine like having like a car.
They referred to that as Hoover leather after President Hoover. President Hoover got blamed for
Man,
everything.
Hoover's like, I just
Okay.
told you.
All right, pretty basically. All right. So what did they do for fun though? Okay. People still tried to have fun to take their mind off of their troubles. Okay. They enjoyed the movies if they could come up with enough money to go to one. They listened to radio shows if they still had their radio. And remember, not everybody is out on the street. Okay. Kids played stickball in the street. That's kind of like a baseball game, or card games at home. Yes, Adam.
I mean, it's like America always finds joy in the darkest of times. Like legit.
Yep.
Like in the Revolutionary War, people were still having fun. World War I, still having fun. Civil War, still having fun.
Yep.
I mean, World War II, honestly,
You-
the soldiers on the other side.
You really
They
do.
did- they
You have,
did have fun at home.
you have to make the best sometimes of horrible situations, and you do. You try to make the best of it. And you just have to keep the faith that it is indeed going to get better.
World War I, David.
Because we all go through what we consider very difficult times. Okay? Other people might look at it and think it's not, you don't know what difficult times are. But to you, it is difficult. Okay? Your problems are real to you. They may seem trivial to me, but to you, they're very real. And we do need to be aware of that. We really do. Okay? Kids still went to school in the cities during the Great Depression, although they had to drop out when they were 16 or 17 to try to get jobs. In some cases, public schools had to close or couldn't afford basic items like books. Programs such as sports, music, art, things like that was usually canceled. It says sometime canceled. That was usually the first thing to go. Okay? And we still have that even in modern time. You let a school district get in trouble, the first thing to do is they start cutting music and art. And some athletic programs that are not as well thought of, I guess. Okay? Most cities in the U.S. had an area where people evicted from their home built small one-room shacks to live in. The shacks were made from anything they could find, such as cardboard, wood scraps, cement blocks, tar paper. These makeshift shanty towns were called Hoovervilles, again, after President Hoover. They often they often put them up near where a soup kitchen was so that they could walk down to get a free meal. Because, of course, they did not have automobiles to go running all around in.
They still have soup kitchens.
Okay.
Pay for their, pay for public transportation.
Right? So not everyone in the city was poor or hungry, though, okay? And not everyone was out of a job during the Great Depression. Some people continued to work and have money for food and even luxury items. However, most people had to cut back somewhere to make ends meet because their hours might have been cut, their pay might have been cut, but they felt grateful to still have a job. Think about, we're almost a year into COVID-19. We had a number of people who lost their jobs because of COVID-19. Okay? And when you lose your job, because I got a neighbor across the way, he lost his job, his wife still worked, but their income was cut in half. Okay, so they just had to put their house on the market and sell their house because they couldn't afford to keep their house.
Wait, but
Okay.
so he left your neighborhood?
Become a big time YouTuber. YouTubers are getting money.
Interesting facts about the daily life of the city during Great Depression. People with homes often rented rooms to boarders in order to make enough money to pay the mortgage. Okay, so they actually would rent a room out if somebody had a job that maybe their hours got cut, they couldn't afford the apartment or whatever that they had, but they could afford to rent a decent room in a house. They did that. Most families rode public transportation in the city rather than spend money on gas and trying to maintain a car, because a car is very expensive. Okay, not only do you have the expense of the payment of the car, but insurance, gas, maintenance on that car, all that stuff starts to add up. A car is next to your home. A car is probably the highest dollar item that you will ever own. Some people lost all their savings when the bank look, when the bank with their money went out of business, okay, and many people lived on a diet of dried beans, potatoes, and powdered milk. If you ever had powdered milk, you add water
It is
and
gross.
stir it up. Yeah, it is. It's thin and it's really not good. But when that's all you got, that's all you got. You know, it's kind of sad, but that's it.
Condensed milk was like the
Yeah, and it's kind of condensed milk.
That was
that type of thing. Yeah.
water.
Okay. All right, guys. Bye bye.